Welcome to the Executive Coaching Podcast, where executive coach Alicia Cowan will discuss leadership topics and coaching solutions to tackle the most difficult problems that keep you from leading your team to success.
Hey there, senior executive leaders. How are you? Welcome to episode number 67 of the Executive Coaching Podcast. I'm Alicia Cowan, and I want to welcome you back to the podcast if you're a returning listener, and welcome you if you are new. I like to start off with a personal update, and I want to tell you that summer has officially arrived now. I'm recording this at the beginning of June. The kids are out of school. We're knee deep in it, and I love summer. It's my favorite season of the year. And so I love when the days get longer. I love slower rhythms. And we have a couple of really fun summer trips planned. And so love fun summer travel. And I've also had some really intentional downtime recently. And so it's just been lovely. On a very personal note, I had a surgery recently. And so everything went well. I'm recovering fine, but it's giving me a lot of downtime, intentional downtime, and a lot of time for reflecting and perspective. And so I gave myself a lot of time for some like real deep self-care, and I've experienced such a deep sense of gratitude. When you go through anything like health related, I personally get an immense sense of gratitude for everybody that supported me, my family, my friends around me. Also for the opportunity to like just slow down and kind of do a little bit of a reset, really slowing things down and really realizing that your health is so important. I don't know, makes you a little introspective and a little thoughtful. So I've been called to talk about something, and that brings me really to today's topic. And the title of this podcast is something going to be along the lines of like the summer reset. Now, if you've been with me for a while, I have talked about a similar topic before. Back in the day, about a year ago, episode 41, I talked about a mid-year reset. And so it's funny because I think it is like cyclical, like the feeling of this season, again, my favorite season, but also I think with being a working parent and having kids, there is just something about the season that it just changes. The schedule changes, the seasons change, right? And there is something that just calls me to the season. For me, it's about allowing for some change. And so today we're going to take a little bit of a different angle. Back in episode 41, I talked a lot about goals and, thinking about where you were with your goals from the beginning of the year and maybe deciding again if you want to be aligned with those goals for the end of the year or not, and also celebrating all the wins that happened at the beginning of the year, which again, such a great topic. I listened to it on my walk this morning and still relevant, very important. But today we're actually going to take a really different angle than that angle that I took last year. And we're going to go a couple of clicks deeper into this topic. And it really, for me, it's about recognizing the pull for change. If you have that like instinctual gut feeling of like, something's like nagging at me and I like really want to change it. Even if you're not really sure where to start, it's about just recognizing that like if you feel that change, you might be feeling like a nudge to shift something, and it could be personal and it could be professional, or it could totally be both at the same time, which I'm actually experiencing both. I feel like I think it's the whole season. And again, maybe it's where I'm at and it's this health journey, but just feeling this nudge to change. And so if you're feeling that like low, steady buzz or hum of like something needs to change, then listen in. This episode could be for you. If you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, totally fine. Listen in. Maybe somebody out there could use it and you can think of them. But what is a summer reset? Let's start with that topic. Let's define it. A summer reset for me can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So it's really however you want to define it. But sometimes it's really about starting over. It might be just completely wiping the slate clean. And other times it's maybe just more of just a pause. It's about like just maybe pausing, stopping, and just deciding what you want to do with your next move. So it's a little bit more about less about like an upheaval, but more just about like, let me just take a second to think through what feels right. Like what feels instinctual, what feels like a gut instinct of like, yes, this is where how I want to proceed, and this is where I want to proceed. And so there's a couple different energies that come with this season. And right now, it's again, I'm feeling a mix of both. But the first energy is more of a soft energy. This energy could be like, maybe I need some rest. Maybe I'm a little bit more reflective right now, quieter, introspective. Maybe there's a season of you're feeling just like you want to be gentle with yourself. Maybe it's a season of self-care, and I think all of those things can come up with summer because it's such, it usually is typically aligned with like vacations and taking holidays and like having fun and just taking it easy. There also could be a pull to have like a more active energy. Again, summer is typically a season for like travel and having fun and reconnecting with people and potentially reimagining your future and maybe even future planning as we go into the back half of the year. You might be also feeling like a more active, engaged energy. And so all are fine, both are okay, but those are some just different associated energies that typically can come with this season. And maybe you're like in a season like I am. Maybe with my recovery, I am in this like mix of a little bit of internal work, but also as like again, my brain starts to come back alive and really engage. There's all these things that I feel called to do and I get called into that more active energy. So I'm trying to like play with that dichotomy of both. So maybe that's you. Maybe you're ready to go out and tackle the world, re-engage with your goals. Again, both are fine. But I want to identify them so that you can maybe like plug in yourself and maybe like tap in, like, how am I truly feeling? My coach does a lot of aligned work with me and tries to help me understand where my gut instinct is calling me and what I'm really feeling called to do, and really deciding like, is that the direction that I want to go in? So here's where coaching can come in, and this is where I just mentioned this, but coaching can be a really powerful mirror for you. As an executive leader, I've seen so many of us together collectively just trying to be in motion and action in that like assertive energy all the time. And coaching really provides you this like nice space where it gives you permission to pause, even if it's for a few minutes, just to reflect and think about what you want to re-engage with intention. It helps you name like exactly what season you might be in and how to choose aligned action from there rather than just this default mode, which a lot of us executives are in right now, and especially in response to like market shifts, which I talked about in my last podcast. But there's so much going on externally in the world that we're hearing and exposed to that we're always like defaulting to do more. And so I think a lot of times we're just in response, like firefighting and trying to go out and solve problems. And so sometimes that's, where coaching can help is to really help you decide what action do you want to take. So here's some common themes. I've mentioned it, but I've been talking to a lot of executive leaders right now. And what I'm hearing from my coaching clients is four things I'll talk about. One is the sense of like, I want to feel more in control of my time and my schedule. The second one is I've been operating in this crisis mode. How do I get some time to carve out some time for like more of the vision setting or like the more of the strategic like mindset mode? The third is that pull of like, I know something needs to shift, but I can't quite name it. Or maybe I know something needs to shift, but I'm not quite ready to tackle it yet. I need a break and I feel guilty even thinking about it. That's the fourth. So if any of those four sound familiar, you're not alone. What I like to call these are just like signals on the dashboard of life. It's really like, how do you like look at yourself and say, okay, maybe some of these thoughts are like showing and giving us perspective on something that we might need to listen to this summer. And in this summer will give me a unique opportunity to tune in. So what does that look like? So if you're like, yes, I identify with this, I'm not sure what to do, let's talk through a few reset pathways that you might consider. So I'm going to bucket them. And again, there's so many different other options out there, but these are kind of just general ones in response to those four themes I'm hearing from executives. And the first, this is one that I've been taking with myself recently, is the gentle reset. And this may be for you if, with that thought that I shared with you earlier, if you are feeling worn down, tired, maybe overextended, maybe you're coming off a demanding season or a demanding project as we close out Q1, Q2, or maybe even as a working parent or caretaker with like the end of school year chaos or the end of spring, it's just like could feel like a lot. You're coming off that demanding season. You can ask yourself, what can I do less of this summer? And I want to prompt you if you honored that energy of like needing the rest, that gentle reset, what can you give yourself permission to say no to? So I'll say again, this is where I had to, again, because of medical reasons, I had a surgery, I had to cut some things out and I had to say no. And so for me, I had to like very decisively make decisions on like what activities can I say yes to and others that I just absolutely cannot. And I might need help with some of those things. I might need to explain my reasoning. I might not need to explain my reasoning whatsoever, but other things I might need to, just communicate clearly about like what I need and why I'm saying yes and why I'm saying no. And that for me has been big season. And then it's kind of nice, like, as I like to be able to see what things like really matter to me and really align with my values as I like decide what to add back in and when I can feel physically up to adding it back in. It also, a gentle reset also might be something like looking even at your physical spaces and looking at your things and deciding like maybe it's a clean sweep for the season, or maybe it's like making things easier. Like just again, that can be your physical items that you either own or exist in, like your home or your car, whatever. Maybe it might mean that. Like, how do I make things flow, make things a little bit easier for me by doing like a physical, gentle reset? Okay, so that's a gentle reset. Loving, kind, soft for yourself. Okay, a little bit softer. The second one is a little bit of both. And maybe you've done the rest portion of this. Maybe you've done the self-care. Maybe you're like feeling like engaged. And like again, that comment around wanting to have some strategic thinking time, to have like this vision like of where you want to go, that may be where you're ready to re-engage. Again, a little bit of that is introspective, a little bit of it can be very active. And the question here that you might want to ask is, what do I want to create next? And if I were leading from my future self, thinking about yourself anywhere from this point, current point on, what would I say yes to? And where do I see myself in X amount of time? So for me, I'm thinking about this. I've been again forced into some quiet time, and so I've been thinking a lot about like my business, and it's made me think a lot about what connection points I want to have for fall. I've actually been thinking and been in this energy for a really long time. For my business, I really am missing like some in-person connection, and I feel like it's been missing for a little bit. I've also had some people reach out and actually tell me about. A desire to have some in-person connection. And so I think that's where my vision reset is at for myself. I'm thinking a lot about my future self and what I plan for myself once I am ready to get up and running with a couple of more in-person connection points that I'm going to have. And so maybe that's it for you. It's just basically as simple as like, what am I being pulled to do, maybe with my vision, with my future? And is everything that I'm doing in line with that vision? And maybe it's not. Maybe there's something you want to change, or maybe you're perfectly happy. Who knows? That's the vision reset work that you can work on. The third one that I'll give you is the courage reset. This is one I've probably been more actively doing with my clients currently. This one is about the tough stuff. As you know, if you've listened to this podcast for a long time, I talk a lot about some of the tough work we have to do as senior executive leaders. And a lot of it is about the tough relationships, and I would say tough relationships, the difficult conversations we need to have as a part of building our relationships, and maybe some of those more difficult and uncomfortable times that we're asked to do as leaders. And so that's what the courage reset is about. You might have some overdue conversations. Maybe some you've been avoiding. Maybe some you need to have. Or maybe it's just some relationships that you need to build on. That's where I'm at personally, is I want to build on some of those in-person connections. Maybe there's a relationship that needs some repair and some love to patching up. And maybe there's some change you've been avoiding. So maybe it's not a person at all. Maybe there is something that is going to call for your courage because maybe you are avoiding something. And so that question there is, what am I avoiding? Or maybe what conversation am I not having? And I would just ask yourself after answering that is, what is the cost of not addressing this? So in coaching, a lot of times we'll use these inflection points to not just to talk, but also to understand the thoughts behind where you are taking action or not taking action, and then deciding, do we like those thoughts and is it aligned with what we want to do? And what do I mean by that is sometimes when you are thinking thoughts, you're just thinking them in default mode. You're not necessarily intentionally questioning, are they true or not? And then those thoughts, even if they are not factual, even if they're not based in reality, they start to create your feelings and your actions, and then it's totally misaligned. And so in coaching, we don't force the next move. Coaches never know exactly what right next step every human should make in the world. If we were, that would be I don't know, because we'd be more like psychics than coaches, but we never force the next move, or nor we shouldn't. We help you discern it. We help you look at it objectively, right? I call it it's like sitting next to your client watching Netflix together. We look at the scenario together and we discern what do we want to see happen next. And so I've been coaching a couple different clients on this courage reset. So in their places of work, there's certain things or certain people that they're avoiding and situations they're avoiding. And one person I talked to about, hey, let's talk about how we want to approach this, how do we want to tackle it. And when I said that, she thought the only default way to tackle it was confrontation with the person. And that absolutely was not what I was suggesting whatsoever, but it was talking about more so, this person that she was having some, I would guess, difficult thoughts about, about what the situation was at hand. She wasn't quite sure whether or not she was ready to talk to her. And by all means, tackling it, I said, well, let's not necessarily assume that we have to. I said, let's talk about tackling it, meaning let's talk about the reasons why you're avoiding it, what you think, you want to do next, why you value what you're going to do or not do. And let's then discern what tackling it could mean, right? It doesn't necessarily mean there is only one way and one approach. And so that is what the courage reset means. It means really looking at it and trying to decide and discern what's next. For me, like I said, I am working on relationships to strengthen, and I think this is the big season of just deep diving into a couple of relationships and a couple of add-ons to help strengthen some of the relationships. And so it's not always about, again, one course of action just with courage. Okay, so that is the last approach. So those three resets can be helpful. Again, there's other resets you can do, but the general reset, the vision or slash strategy reset, and the courage reset are just three I want you to consider. And again, there might be way more that come to mind for you, resets of things that you want to redo or restart. Like I said, I talk a lot about this in episode 41 about goal resets and about maybe evaluating where you want to go with goals. But you get to decide. If you decide to do a reset, what is your reset going to look like? And if you are going to do a reset, I would love to hear all about it. Maybe you're slowing down to reflect. Maybe you're reconnecting, like we're going to do on some of these fun vacations that we're going to do with friends that we haven't seen in a long time. Maybe you're planning ahead for your future self. Maybe you are taking the courage reset and you're going to have some tough conversations. But wherever you are, I want you to give yourself permission to tune in to yourself and your gut instinct. And then from there, once you've tuned in, align and respond with intention. And that is the true power of a reset. And like I said, coaching can be the place where some of those next steps come into like a very clear focus for you. And so if you're curious about working with a coach this summer to help you clarify your own vision, love to connect with you. I can support you through the reset season. My website is a great place to reach out to me. It's aliciacowancoaching.com. It's ELISIAKEOWN. And if this summer feels like the very perfect right moment to reset your vision, your energy, your strategy, I am opening up a limited number of one-on-one coaching spots specifically for my summer reset coaching package. So what this is, it's a very private, tailored executive coaching experience, and it's going to be designed to help you get, number one, clarity on what's working, what's not. Number two, getting unstuck from being in indecision or maybe being in burnout. Three, it'll help you design the next 90 days of your life and give you clarity and purpose. And four, give you that momentum towards finishing the year in a strong way. So again, I'm recording this in June 2025. So at this time, if you want to join, if you want to talk to me about what it's about, reach out to me through my website, aliciacowancoaching.com, which you can find in show notes. And I'll talk to you one-on-one about what's included. You can set up a one-on-one with me through my website, or you can just email me and I will reach out to you and pick a time. But here's what's included: 6 one-on-one executive coaching sessions with me. I'll give you the strategic goal setting and leadership clarity work. I'll support you in between sessions through Voxer. And the cadence of this can be booked either weekly or bi-weekly because I know there are vacations and all kinds of stuff, including my own, out there. So message me if you want details. We'll talk to you all about it. Again, it's aliciacowancoaching.com. And for you listening, until next time, please have an amazing summer. Take good care of yourself. Decide if you want to reset. And I will see you back here soon. So great to talk to you. Talk to you soon, friends. Bye.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Executive Coaching Podcast with Alicia Cowan. If you're ready to have an executive coach who's ready to help you lead your team to success, then book an introductory call at aliciacowancoaching.com/call.